But I feel like we talk about this almost every week now to some degree of just how
the layers
somewhere related to it. Yeah.
Yeah. How crazy it is right now just for creative people and just consumers. Because even though I talk about the view stuff, it's not like I'm not guilty of it.
This dude's name is Curtis King. He's got 2 S's on it. I think it's Curtis King TV.
Yep.
Yeah, he made some interesting points though in terms of the industry trends and how things are looked at in terms of how artists post music today. I think it was the 1240 mark, Lone, is what you put in there. But yeah, shout out to Curtis King TV because this dude makes some very good points.
The Beatles didn't have to get up every day and worry about if they were going to post their TikTok too late into the day that day.
They was too busy putting all them damn multi-channels together and creating more instruments than they could perform live on Sgt. Pepper. Read up on that. Crazy. They wasn't dealing with that. They was up here trying to bend the borders of what music can be done. It's crazy.
That's true.
On an album for 3 months in the woods anymore. Because then you wouldn't have an internet connection to make the TikToks about the experience and vlog it and You have to, this infects your mind. You can't make art the same way anymore. And that's not just because the internet is around and all this stuff. And this affects every part of art. And I know that. But the way that you make music is to off.
There's a balance that we're going to have to speak about that I feel like there will be think pieces about at some point in time, years and years away from my generation, probably furthermore for the younger viewers and listeners here, that they will do think pieces about this time period in which they had literally all of us. Most of us think it's by our own choice, but they've had all of us believe that there is no success for you if you're not posting every day consistently, even at the sake of quality going down. And I feel like that is not just a result of the way that they're pushing the business or pushing the priority of virality within music. I think that's just a statement of society at large. And I think every generation finds its new thing to separate itself from the prior one, right? This line of thinking started me down a rabbit hole and understanding kind of like what some of the new artists who don't value lyrics, they don't value sonics, they don't value equipment, and some of that is kind of cool because it creates a lot of like up-and-comers who are really innovative and they're using what they have, because no longer having money is not an excuse because you can use what you have and create and maximize upon that, and some really cool things happen because of that. But it's also creating people who think that that is the standard, and that is something, even as a DIYer, at one point an up-and-coming DIYer, I was never under the illusion that this was the same thing as someone who was taking their time to do this.
With the social media aspect of things, is a gift and a curse, because people can use the social media aspect to their advantage to help add to their product. But the thing about it is, what you're adding has to be just as good as the product, or it has to be worthy, so to speak. What I mean by that is I see a lot of people just sharing content for the sake of sharing content.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily good content. If you're sharing something that's a song or a recording, it should sound like it should sound if you're releasing it, versus you're doing something and it sounds all muffled and crazy. And unless you're a certain type of artist, then you can do that.
I think there's different approaches to that though.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. It's like if you're organically making something.
Yeah.
But like for the people that are like, for example, on the DJ realm of things, if a DJ is posting a set online or like a snippet of or something, it should be, the sound should be amazing. It should be the same thing as if I'm adding a song to my story.
The quality online should match, right?
It shouldn't be a rip from your phone. It should be directly sound coming into it. Yeah.
So if you're using content like that, it should always be top notch. If it's an artist and there is rough stems or they're brainstorming, I get that. But at the same time, people have to realize your product is still more important than the content. So if you're just sharing content every day and then the product that comes out is lackluster, people watch the content leading up to that. But then when the product actually comes out, it's like, one listen and I'm done. And I think what a lot of people are doing too is they're chasing the money that they get off making content, because the more content you got, the more likely that you're going to be able to monetize that situation.
High volume.
It's more like they're also searching for another way to make the money
fast,
because of their you know what I'm saying, their music by using the content. But, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't always match up.
To that, I would say, and this is not even an intentional plug, but there's a book called Superfans.
Yeah.
And it speaks on this idea a little bit, and it talks about the idea of, from a content creator's perspective, or a musician or something like that, right? Or even us as a podcast. The way that I like to explain people that view our content is we have onlookers, we have fans, and then we have super fans. Onlookers are people that watch some of the stuff that we put out, and they're just like, all right, cool, I see what that is, right? That's on social media. Let's say TikTok, or maybe that's YouTube or something, or like a short. They see that and they're like, all right, cool, I know who these people are. They're just onlooking. They're just looking at us. Maybe they follow us, maybe they don't, right? But what's going to get that person to go to the next step? What's going to get that person to be like, well, let me actually listen to what they're doing for this long form content, what we're talking about right now, this long form thing. Right. And if you're giving people, to Terry's point, if you're giving people a bunch of content and you're just throwing everything at the wall, which we did for a while because we were trying to figure this algorithm out. But when you are just doing that, then you get a mixture. You get some people that really rock with you, and you get other people just be like, well, I don't know, I only rock with 50% of it. So why would I, because we're so overloaded with content as it is, it's better if you highly curate the stuff that you are creating. Same with the music, same with the stuff that you're putting out there. Like, there's a difference between the type of person that enjoys the thing that you're creating as opposed to a snippet of the thing that you're creating. And those, even though you may be able to get a lot of money or a lot of attention from something really quickly, it's the long play that actually converts people, that gets people to really invest in you, to get people to really rock with you.
Versus that quick money.
Versus the quick money, versus the quick, virality of things. Yes, you can go viral one day, but the next day you're back to, 100 views.
And nobody's checking for you.
Yeah, because you're not converting people. And part of that is, the thing is, I don't even think it's people's fault. I think it's these platforms' fault, because that's what the algorithms are pushing for people to do. And I think people are doing what they think that they should.
One of the lines I had typed down was, and I don't want to misquote it, but he says, the demand of artists to be content machines has created apathy and less empathy in the actual work. Kind of like along what we're talking about with the high volume, and I got to post, and you're not really paying attention to, the quality of it. But no, y'all both make great points.
Because that's what people are fed right now. It's like, you have to keep creating content. You have to do it. You just have to do it. And that's true, but it still needs to play a intricate role in what you're doing versus you just vomiting content out every single day that doesn't do anything for you. Especially
as like a musician, because and it's a little bit more harder for us. It's super challenging because we're a deep dive talk show. So how do we stick a deep dive into 30 to 60 seconds, because that's what we have to do to get people to pay attention to us.
Right.
If we don't do that, then the algorithm does not like us. So it's like, it's a weird balance of trying to figure that out. But from a musician standpoint, it's the same way. It's super challenging. Me as a musician, I'm also trying to figure this stuff out with the types of remix videos that I drop. Which ones work? Which ones don't work? It's super challenging across the board.
When I remove myself from the creative space, whether it be on the podcast or, like Lone said, in the producer bag or as a musician, what you guys are saying is absolutely correct, because there's content that I consume where I've said openly, every once in a while they get it right.
Yeah.
And then there's other ones where I consistently find myself going back to because they always get it right.
Yeah.
The quality is so high all the time. They're going to get me every time I'm scrolling or I'm going through, or the algorithm pushes it in my direction. I just know it's going to be fire.
And even if you didn't like it, you gave it a chance because it's actually structured to the point that it's enjoyable still to check it out.
They've built my trust. They got my trust. I really didn't
like that clip, but I'll wait and see what they got to say next.
For sure.
Bingo. Yep. What you think, Jay, about this conversation?
Once again, I worry about, if anything, how this is affecting everyone's brain as far as even consuming content. Man.
There's going to be a study on this.
That's what he said.
I saw something recently about how songs that have a certain amount of streams on Spotify, and then you look at how many times the video's been watched, and like the correlation is, it used to be right here. Now yes, people are still streaming the song, but they're not watching entire music videos anymore, even though you can look at them on YouTube.
Right.
Because a 4-minute video seems like too much of an investment of time.
It seems extremely long now.
So
Yeah.
I'm more, and this doesn't even have to do with how we consume music. This is just how people's brains are going to be wired. How is it that people are going to, sit and read a book or be able to just, consume anything that might be actually informational and educational, because we're used to getting things in such short little pieces.
You know what's crazy, bro? And this is not a direct correlation to, like, from a creative standpoint. This is just me watching something. Shout out to I ain't gonna say the name because they ain't cutting us a check, but I was watching something that had ads, and I caught myself getting frustrated because in the top right corner they had ads, and it's like a minute and 50 something seconds worth of ads. When we were kids, we used to sit down and just watch the commercials and then go back to whatever the program was. Now it's like I caught myself actually getting frustrated that it was a minute and 50 seconds.
Because you have a choice now. You know what I'm saying? Back then, that was built into, this is just how it operated. I know I have to watch this. Commercial's going to come on. I got time to run and do something else real quick.
Yep.
Make it back before the commercial.
Right.
Now you can literally purchase a streaming service that will cut all the commercials out.
Yep.
So when you have to watch commercials, it's it irks you because you can't skip past it.
Yeah.
And then, what's crazy too is people consume stuff so fast. You can make a video go faster.
Yeah.
You can make it go like 0.5 or even a second faster.
TikTok, you can.
Yeah, just to make it
do it on YouTube.
Hurry up and get done,
get to where you want to go.
I can move on to the next thing.
Or I can just watch. I can watch the guy speak 2 times as fast.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time to listen to this. If I can watch it in 2 minutes, why would I watch it in 4?
Yeah.
But also it's just a thing where I think it also is how consumerism is being driven. Just to go to your point, we talk about watching commercials and how much that irks us now, when we just realized at one point that was a part of our lives.
Yeah.
Now, on Amazon, on all their original programming, even though you pay for Amazon Prime, they want another like $2 or $3 for you to watch it without commercials.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so like if your mind is wired to not watch something and not have to deal with commercials, there's millions of people, you'll go ahead and pay the $2 or $3 not to have to watch the commercials.
Yeah.
And so here's a multinational corporation that has found another way, based on people's impatience and, inability to sit through anything that seems inconvenient, that's going to make millions, if not billions of dollars, $2 or $3 at a time.
Yeah.
Just because people are used to seeing their content uninterrupted.
Right now. Like I literally do that with YouTube because like I get YouTube and I get the music streaming platform too.
You use the premium.
So since I have the music streaming platform, they give me the YouTube premium for free.
Yeah.
And I've been so used to that. And y'all hear me when we were on the show. Sometimes you pull up a clip like, should have paid for that premium.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 'Cause it shows a commercial immediately. So now I'm programmed that I don't want to see commercials like at all.
Oh no.
But I want our show to have commercials because that's how we get paid.
Facts.
I just don't want to be,
No, I mean,
I caught myself doing it, bro.
because
can't lie.
I literally I got it for 3 months for free.
Yeah.
And I tried to go back to watching YouTube with commercials and I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I
it's
fell
wild.
victim to it. I was like, what, $11? Okay, that's fine.
It's worth it.
It's worth it for me to be able to, even when I sit and sometimes review our show or watch our clips so we can, and because I want to get right to the comments and see how people are either engaging us constructively or just hating. I don't want to have to watch a commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. And to that the one guy's point when he was talking about how the Beatles put together their album and they didn't have to worry about these types of things. That's just music in general. So if you think about 80s, 90s, you had bands. You had more bands available because people had to learn how to play these instruments in order to come together and make this music. Then you had to have an engineer that was going to record them and put it all together. Now all you need is a laptop that has GarageBand on it and, you know what I'm saying, something that you can play the keys with and program the music yourself. It eliminates all of that stuff to the point where now it's mandatory that you do the other stuff.
I don't know if they're directly correlated like that. But I see what you're getting at. I would relate it to, and I've been holding on to this idea. I talked about it with a student of mine this week, actually. But and it goes along with everything we're saying. Have you ever showed somebody young our show? What was the first thing that they said? Be like, oh, I do a podcast.
They don't know what we're talking about.
Okay, well, what,
For me,
yeah,
I've shown younger cousins or something a podcast, and what I get is, man, you guys got a real podcast.
okay, you guys aren't going where I'm thinking.
That's what I get.
So yeah, that's one piece. But if you typically, and I see this all the time because I have a lot of younger students, and when I tell them I make music, they'll be like, "Oh yeah,
Viewers.
They want to know your stats.
Number one thing is always how many views does this video have? How many subscribers do you have? How many people listen to your music? How many Spotify weekly, whatever do you have?" Constantly. And I'm talking about the younger generation, like Generation Z and all that stuff. And it's wired into us as well. But this is so detrimental. It's so detrimental.
Yeah.
It's so detrimental because it completely removes. I had to break this down to one of my students and I was like, look, I was like, it's capitalism, but it's bigger. But it's bigger than that because it's like people don't create art for consumerism. Consumerism is a part of selling art. It's a different thing. We sell art because we need to sell art. Artists are going to create art regardless.
This is true.
And so if you disagree with that, you're probably not an artist. You're probably just somebody that's moonlighting. I'm sorry if you don't agree. But art is for art's sake. Yes, we want to be able to understand how to create content and all this other stuff, and that's important to sustaining yourself and all this other stuff. But the art's the most important thing. Terry alluded to this as well a little bit ago. But the viewership aspect is the thing that I think it's so crazy. It's like everybody cares about the views. I almost want the numbers to disappear publicly from everything.
But
it's funny you said that because you remember, I told you that the one time I went to go speak at a friend's class, they had the age group that you're talking about. I pulled up our TikTok. The video that they wanted to click was, oh, that one's got 55,000 about Meek Mill. Click that one. It proves exactly what you just said. Yeah. Because they wanted to see how many followers y'all got. You just made me think about that. I literally just went through this like a month and a half ago. How many followers y'all got? Yeah.
Even with this video, the cipher that went viral here, people were talking about how many views it got.
Yeah.
So whether you like it or not, it got this many views.
And it becomes valid.
Basically based off the viewership.
Yeah. But jump in, Jay.
No, I mean, but almost to make it personal just regarding us, have you ever gone through and watched, and looked at our content and thought, wait a minute, this was either really funny or really poignant.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, how did this one only get 87 views?
Yeah.
And this one, when we were talking about something that I didn't think was as particularly engaging. I'm looking at it and it's got 2 points, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like when we were just talking about, the whole thing with Laura being a bum, as far as like, I thought like that didn't do anything.
Yeah. Oh, well, a lot of people probably can't even relate to that.
But there are a lot of TGIF for the people who watch our content, like that's very relatable. But at the same time,
crazy.
I didn't think anybody was going to care on on TikTok or Instagram. One of them, when we were it was like, I don't even think it made the
Meek
full
Mill in
show.
Africa.
Oh, Meek Mill in the show, and when we were talking about Def Jam Fight for New York, I didn't think that was going to do anything.
It's like people are going to post or say something when they disagree with you more than they do.
That's a lot. That's a lot of it. That's a lot of it too. Yeah,
and that's what drives that energy and that traffic to it, because people are so content on not agreeing with what's going on, whether they understand it or not, and it keeps on popping up based off of that, versus somebody might see something that they really enjoy and just like it and keep on moving.
But there's this weird, what I've noticed is there's this weird nexus of, I don't know, of whiteness whenever we talk about Kid Rock, Eminem, or anybody conservative. That pops up, and all of a sudden, not only does it do numbers, but then we get a bunch of people I know who don't watch any of our other content, and it's almost like it sets off an alarm in these people's houses.
Some of that is me. I'm doing that to a degree because of the tags that I use. I'm doing that to a degree, but
stay woke.
But sometimes, yes. Some of that is based upon how we can program that on with the tags and stuff like that.
But the thing is, you've reposted like it doesn't matter if we've already posted the stuff about Kid Rock. It catches again
every time.
And I just like that's crazy.
It's multiple things. Yeah. So I don't know. It's to Terry's point and everything. I don't want to get too sidetracked from what the main talking point. But social media. Because I feel like we talk about this almost every week now to some degree of just how
The layers
somewhere
of it.
related to it. Yeah.
how crazy it is right now just for creative people and just consumers. Because even though I talk about the view stuff, it's not like I'm not guilty of it.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
no,
because,
for sure.
I mean,
for sure.
we want views. I mean, views. We run a internet talk show essentially, so our viewership matters. Like this is what our bread and butter is the viewership.
It's very important.
Based off if we're making music on the side, you know what I'm saying? This isn't adding to something we're already doing. This is the product right here.
Right.
Right.
So
Part of it.
yeah.